everybody, this is Boogas Reviews, and today I'm going to be doing a review on the Marvel Legends Apocalypse Build-A-Figure. So before we take a look at Apocalypse, let's take a look at his one accessory. Now he didn't actually come with this. This is just the add-on piece from Archangel. And when I do some the wave ranking that I do towards the end of the video, I'm not going to count Archangel as part of this wave because, well, he's not actually part of it. He just happened to include this add-on piece. So I'm not counting him as part of this wave. But here is the clamp hand. And it looks really nice. It's got a little bit of that shimmery plastic going on there. Now, getting this off is a bit of a challenge. So I'm going to try and get it off easily here. Semi-off screen. Oops. Let's fix that. Okay, so that's the trouble you run into with this hand. And you have to unplug this hose right here. Then you have to port this in. It's definitely a multi-step process. And then you plug the hose back in there. There. So, there he is with the clamp handle in there. And I'm just not a fan of how that looks. Like, it doesn't go on all the way. I feel like it should at least come up to here. Just like his wrist guards do. I don't know, I'm just not really a fan of how that looks. Maybe if he had two of them, it might look better. But I don't think so. I think it still looks the same. So yeah, it looked nice at first, but once you actually have it on the figure, it looks a little silly. So where did I put that? Looking through my camera here and doing stuff is sometimes a challenge. Like when I lose a piece, I have to peek around the camera to see where it went. There. And now let's plug that back in. So now let's go ahead and take a look at his head sculpt. So Hasbro did a phenomenal job with this head sculpt. I really, really love it. My only issue is the teeth right here. As you can see, his gums, his teeth are down to his gums, and that's not the way it should be. Like, if you look, his teeth end right here. Where the shadow of my fingers at is where his teeth end. And his teeth are all the way down here. So I do feel like the teeth definitely could have been painted better. It's kind of the same way with Wolverine. The teeth definitely could have been painted better. But overall, the head sculpt looks really nice. I like how he has the red eyes and the black lining around his eyes. And Hasbro, for the blue on this figure, like his lips right here, they used metallic blue. And, is this considered hair? Or tattoos? Because it's raised. I don't think it'd be tattoos if it was raised. Whatever's on his head, it's done in a shimmery plastic. Whatever these things on his head are, I don't even actually know what those are. He has these shoulder pads, and they do swivel up and down. So they don't hinder the articulation like I thought they would. And they're done in that shimmery plastic as well. But the body is where it looks really phenomenal. It has this metallic, marbleized blue plastic. And it looks great, especially in the light. Like, as you can see, there are all the swirls of paint in there. How they use that shimmering plastic with it. Because it's shimmering and marbleized and metallic. That's just good on top of good on top of good. I think that looks really nice. And then there's those forearm guards. Or wrist guards, or whatever you call them. And here are his hoses. And they look really nice as well. I think they were just cast in this color. But they're actually cast in silver. That always surprised me with Hasbro. Because like with Wolverine's claws, they always cast it in the flattest gray that they can cast it in. So he actually has silver hoses. And they aren't bendy. They're posed like this. So the way you see it right here is how it stays. which I'm glad for that, because at least since it isn't bendy, it's posed like this. Because with the Apocalypse, his hoses came straight out like that. So you had to bend them and bend them into this shape. And even now, with my Build-A-Figure, it still doesn't look 100% right. But that's because they're really, really thick and hard to shape. I ended up laying him down on the hoses posed like that so they'd stay like that. His belt also looks nice. Makes use of that shimmery blue as well. And it has a little bit of sculpt detail too. Oh, and I forgot to mention here on his torso, right here where it's black, they use that shimmery black. It almost looks like it has some silver mixed in with it. Just like this. But that looks really nice as well. This is definitely my favorite Build-A-Figure of the year, and my favorite wave overall too, because there wasn't one bad figure in this wave. That's why it's going to be super hard for me to rank this wave, because all the figures are really, really good. And I really just had some nitpicks with the whole wave, so that's another reason why it's going to be really tough for me to rank them. Here are his hands. And I want to say one of them's a reuse from Death's Head and Colossus. Is it the left hand? I want to say the left hand's a reuse. But honestly, what Hasbro could have done was made the hand that goes with Apocalypse, or with Colossus and Death's Head. Yeah, I want to say it's a left hand. And then they could have just used, I don't know if this is how it works, but they could just flip it, do a mirror image of it. And that's how they got this one. I think it would have been nice if he would have came with some open hands. I'm sure Hasbro would have been more than happy to make an 8th figure with alternate hands. But I do think that open hands would have been really nice. And getting down here to his boots, they look good as well because they use that. It doesn't have as much marbleization on it as his body does, but it still looks nice. It has really slight marbleization and that shimmering going on. And right here, on his ankles, he has these things that shift up and down. And they don't hinder the articulation, they're just really loose. And they swivel really freely, and that's irritating. But you can't glue them down. I was going to glue them down, but, you know, it's meant to go over his ankle right there. Maybe because it is this kind of an ankle, because his ankle, well, I'll show that off in the articulation. But I think it's to hide that right there, because there's no sculpting or anything on this ankle joint. So they made that part of his boots just loose, that way it hides it. So even though it does bother me, it does serve a purpose. So now, let's go over Apocalypse's articulation. He has a ball-jointed head that really can't look back at all because of his collar right here. But he can look down all the way. He looks like he's trying to see if he got a piece of food on his collar. He has swivel at the head. Yeah, I said he had a ball-jointed head. It swivels side to side. He has swivel shoulder pads. He has ball-jointed shoulders that can move out that far. He has swivel at the bicep that can move side to side that much. If you move it any farther, the hose will pop out. As you can see, it's just about ready to pop out right there. He has single-jointed elbow that can only bend in that far because of the wrist guards right here. This isn't considered a gauntlet, right? This is just like a wrist guard. But he can only move in that far. And without the gauntlet on, or not gauntlet, without the wrist guard, whatever this thing is, without that on, it can move out, or move forward just a little bit more, but not by much. He has swivel at the wrist that can move side to side, and up and down, although it is pretty difficult to get it to move. He has an ab crunch that can move back all the way, and crunch forward all the way. That is a really good ab crunch on a Build-A-Figure. He has swivel at the waist that can move side to side. If you move his belt up like that, he'll be able to move a little more. But if you have it down where it's supposed to be, it really won't move at all. That's why I haven't glued it down, because normally belts that are loose really irritate me. but if you shift it up, then you can move it side to side. But if I would have glued it like that, he wouldn't have been able to move side to side there. He has ball jointed hips that can do a complete split. He can kick forward all the way, and he can kick back all the way. He has swiveled the thigh, double jointed knee, and here is where the articulation is on his ankle. He has swiveled the ankle that's up in the shin right here. They can move side to side. And he has an ankle swivel that can move down and up, even though it makes that clicking. And, well, actually it's more of a ball joint. It's not really a rocker. It's more of a ball joint that has a double swivel. Swivels right here, swivels up and down, and then allows it to rock side to side. So, overall, even the articulation on Apocalypse is really nice. My only real complaint is these hoses. I wish that at least they would have been, like, once you put them in the back of his belt right here, they would have been permanently attached. I understand why with his hands, switching them out, why you have to have the hoses be removable right here, but I feel like it should have been more permanent on his belt there. But again, that's kind of just a small nitpick. So, now, let's do some size comparisons. So, first up, here he is next to the Sentinel series, Mr. Sinister. And honestly, this figure still holds up really well. Like, I'll admit, some Toy Biz figures don't hold up. But Mr. Sinister really does. It would still be cool to see Hasbro remake him, but if they don't, I'm not mad because he's honestly fine just the way he is. Here he is next to the Age of Apocalypse Sunfire, and he is way taller than him. I remember back in the day when TJ Maxx got this in, and I was so excited. I wish more exclusives went to TJ Maxx, like San Diego Comic-Con exclusives and Toy Fair exclusives. This is the only time I've seen exclusives at TJ Maxx before, but this was the only time I saw a convention exclusive at TJ Maxx. And before I get into my wave ranking, here he is next to the original Apocalypse. Now, I can't even fit him all in frame because my diorama is not that big. Plus, he can stand on his own. This used to be normal for Build-A-Figures. And as you can see, the Build-A-Figure is only the size of a leg. That's just to give you some an idea of how big he is. That the old Toy Biz Apocalypse's leg is the size of this entire Build-A-Figure. So yeah, he's really big. So there he is next to Apocalypse. And I've seen a lot of people on Facebook getting rid of this guy because they got this guy. But I honestly don't see the point in that because Apocalypse can change his size. He's never just like 8 foot tall or like 20 feet tall. He can change size. So I like having both versions because, like, say, the old Toy Biz Apocalypse, which is way bigger than the new Hasbro one, you can pose him around with figures and stuff, but you're probably not going to find a diorama big enough to fit him in. So that's the problem. Like with this Apocalypse, getting him posed around with other figures is a lot easier. So I do like that. So now to do some more size comparisons and wave ranking, let's see who I'm going to put at the bottom here. Like I said, none of these are bad by any means because this whole wave was really solid. Okay, let's say at the bottom here is Gladiator. Because he didn't come with any accessories. That's my reasoning. But still, he's a good figure because he was originally a Comic-Con figure, a San Diego Comic-Con figure, that's been re-released. Now everyone has a chance to get him. So I'm putting him at the bottom. Up next is Multiple Man. In sixth place here is Multiple Man. I just feel like he was a little bland as a figure. Still really good, especially if you're into army building. Let's see here. I'm going to put Sabretooth next. Because even though he doesn't have any accessories, he is still a really good figure and a really great update to the Toy Biz one. These final four, they're going to be really difficult for me to rank here. Let's go ahead and put Wolverine next. My only reasoning being that he's mostly just a redo. There's not really too much new with him except for the head sculpt. Like I said, they're all still good figures, and none of this wave was bad. This was actually the first wave in a long time that I actually wanted all the figures from. Like Lizard, I mainly just wanted the Build-A-Figure pieces. But I have this weird thing about getting figures and not getting the pieces and vice versa. So I ended up getting the figures anyway, but that's a case of I really didn't want all the figures in the wave. Up next is Psylocke. We're in the top 3 now. And Psylocke is really good. I just feel like maybe she should have had an open left hand. That's just my complaint. And I feel like the paint could have been just a little bit cleaner. But overall, I really enjoy her because the Toy Biz figure was absolutely terrible. And this one's good. We're in the final 2 here. And I'm pretty confident with my ranking here. Up next is Magneto, my second figure from the wave. Because this is only the second Magneto I have, because I have the Toy Biz one. And they made a classic Hasbro Magneto, but that was from the Jubilee wave, and those things are expensive. So I'm really happy with this modern Magneto. I say modern, but he, in the last issue of, was it X-Men Blue? He went back to his classic look. But he just came with a lot of accessories and was an overall really great figure. And finally, for my favorite figure out of the wave, it is Storm. 80s punk rock Storm. And she is just a really, really awesome figure. Plus, there hasn't really been a great Storm figure made. I mean, there was the Jubilee wave, but again, it's really expensive. Like, alone, I think she goes for almost $200. I do have the Toy Biz one, which I recently made into a semi-kit bash with a Hasbro figure. But, I don't know, I just want, like, a classic Storm, like maybe with her cape. But this will do, because this is a really awesome figure. So, my favorite figure out of the wave is Storm. So, overall, this wave, as I said, was really, really solid. Like, it is the first wave that I would recommend buying all of the figures from. Because not one of them was bad. That's why it was really difficult for me to rank this wave. Because all of them were really great, and the Build-A-Figure is great as well. Like I said, I'm not considering Archangel a part of it because he was just a standalone exclusive, and they just wanted to pack in an extra accessory for him. So that's why I'm not counting him as part of this wave. But, like I said, this wave is phenomenal, and I would highly recommend picking up every figure in this wave and the Build-A-Figure. So that's my review. If you like this review, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.